So welcome to this episode of Insights by Andy, and I'm delighted to be joined by Daniel Ball, the CEO of the Early Careers Company. So Daniel, welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your company.
Right. The business itself is kind of halfway between strategy consulting and hiring. So on one side of the business, we help organizations sort of develop the infrastructure they need around early careers to make emerging talent successful. So things like psychometric profiling exercises, which is why we know SHL so well. We design and implement grad programs. We build assessment processes with a big focus on helping companies kind of achieve social aims around diversity and so on. The other side of the business is a hiring team. So we deliver relatively large-scale hiring campaigns, although I suppose the key thing to note there is we're not like a recruitment company. There's no commission, cold calling, sales, individual work, consultants, that type of thing.
So I guess with that as a backdrop then, tell us about why you think early career solutions are so important and why you're so passionate about it.
The careers are sort of the intersection between society and improving the world and social mobility and like commercial success and the corporate world, and early careers is where that all starts. My business exclusively funds a charity called the Early Careers Foundation. It's a social mobility charity working with British Airways and Bentley and Fidelity and corporate partners to help them sort of advance social mobility through the use of early careers. And early careers is enormously powerful when it comes to trying to improve society and improve the kind of lot of people from low-income families. The example I always give is that if someone's had a challenging upbringing, maybe not reached their full potential at school and so on, but ends up on the JP Morgan grad scheme, 3 years later, no one cares what they did before. So it's an enormous leveler. So I think it's important from a sort of social and societal standpoint, but also from a commercial perspective. Ultimately, one of the biggest challenges businesses all over the world face is hiring and retaining brilliant people. And if companies can get it right, they can solve issues around diversity in terms of cultural, race, gender, obviously background, socioeconomic, but also kind of diversity of thought and ideas. They can solve these issues with early careers. They can also home grow talent, solve the issues they have around retention. They can solve the problems with performance and future leadership. So it's enormously valuable commercially, and it enables businesses to do something commercially effective and have an enormous impact on society and people.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I guess this day and age, and the war for talent rages even harder than ever, is getting the right early careers people in the organization is really fundamental, isn't it? Because they're going to be the next generation, like you say, of managers and leaders within the organization. But I'm also passionate about early careers. I really believe in getting it right can make a huge difference to society as well as an organization. But what are some of the changes that you've seen in this sort of this end of the market?
I think there's been changes in kind of two directions, one good and one bad. I think the good side is people are recognizing a bit more what I was just saying a few minutes ago, that early careers is a tool that companies can use to advance their social agenda and to build a sustainable pipeline of future talent. I mean, those are the two huge benefits of emerging talent kind of as a concept and as a function in businesses. People are recognizing early careers can be a tool for commercial growth and for helping achieve social aims around diversity and actually making the world a better place. For the most part, especially for larger organizations, you're hiring people because they're useful long term. And it's one of the kind of circles we try to square, is how to make young people in your business immediately effective and valuable, whilst also building them towards being future leaders. So when the market's really hot, naturally people come in and they leave earlier. And we've worked with businesses where they lose 50, 60, 70% of their early careers kind of workforce in the first year of employment. That's pre-working with us, to be clear. They bring us in to fix that issue. And we're glad we can bring it down by 80% or whatever. But the challenge is that when that happens, what you have is a large number of people who in practice aren't that effective in the business and leave quickly. I think there's a gulf between business leaders and what their views of how young people should work and how they worked when they were young, and the actual reality of what kind of 20 to 30-year-olds or people moving, I mean, it can be ex-military, it can be anything, but people moving into careers for the first time expect. I think you've got a lot of business leaders who's worked 60, 70-hour weeks throughout their 20s, and then they see the kind of demands and requirements of people today leaving university. And I think there's a bit of a gulf between expectation and reality. So I think it can be a source of frustration for some. And again, it comes back to your assessments are an enormous part of how we look at these problems, because actually, if you can get it right and you can really understand the core kind of characteristics and capabilities and kind of cultural factors, personality traits, motivations, and so on that are successful in your business, actually, you can still you can hire lots of people who are like you, but 30 years younger. But you can also hire people who are completely different and change the dial. So there are ways to overcome these challenges, but I think there's a bit of a disconnect at times between what kind of leaders of large organizations expect from the people they're hiring and the expectations of the people that they're hiring.
Fantastic. Daniel, thank you very much for your insight into early careers, and thank you for joining this Insights by Andy.
No worries.